Hi.
Hello. This is Ray Franz, page 282, more about how the Watchtower lives a lie when it comes to the application of publicly stated principles. The reason for discussing these practices is not because of any interest in judging the ethical or moral nature of the practices of themselves or the individuals involved. What disturbs me is, once again, the double standard applied, where the organization takes on itself the right to judge the morality of a practice when carried on by ordinary people, and they're qualifying for appointment as exemplary persons, but considers itself above criticism or condemnation when doing the same thing in order to advance, quote, organizational interests, unquote.
Whichever of the above methods are employed, the Watchtower representatives are, and realize they are, living in such countries under false pretenses, contrary to the laws of the land. A laborer in Mexico, who might feel desperate about the poverty-stricken situation of his wife and children, and who entered the United States illegally and obtained work by representing himself as there legally, was classified as living a lie, and could not, upon becoming a witness, serve in an exemplary way in the congregation. But the organization could send its own representatives into a country, perhaps the same country from which the laborer came, Mexico, in a way that either violates the law or at least circumvents it through misrepresentation, with the representative acting out a role that is not authentic, not in accord with fact. And this is viewed as proper. It is in the interest of the society and its expansion. It is as if a lower standard of conduct is permissible and acceptable in religious operations and activities than would be counted acceptable in secular matters. The position seems to be that the end justifies the means, as long as the end is one pursued by the organization, not one sought by an ordinary person. The scales of justice are thus weighted one way when measuring the righteousness of others, the opposite way when measuring your own.
Similar examples of inconsistency may also be found even in Watchtower counsel given witnesses, including young people who are to testify under oath before a court. The legal department of the society now supplies a brochure to witnesses who are faced with child custody cases, the opposing mate in such cases generally being a non-witness. The brochure of more than 60 pages supplies guidelines to witness parents, their children, and their attorneys, as well as local elders and others who may testify, by reviewing difficult questions that may be presented by the opposing side and then offering suggested sample responses. Recalling the Watchtower article on honesty cited earlier, we may remember that it asked, quote, "What about truthfulness? Do we really respect the truth? Or are we willing to twist the truth a little bit to get out of an inconvenient circumstance or to get something we want?" Unquote.
Compare that with some of the responses suggested in the Society's manual. Under, quote, "approach by witness parent to cross-examination," end of quote, we find this question and suggested answer. The question was, will all Catholics or others be destroyed? The suggested answer, Jehovah makes those judgments, not we. This sounds good, implies freedom from a dogmatic, judgmental attitude, yet the witness so responding knows that his organization's publications clearly teach that only those who are in association with Jehovah's organization will survive the Great Tribulation, and that all those who fail to come to that organization face destruction.
And Ray has a footnote on that page which reads, the February 15, 1983 Watchtower, for example, says on page 12, quote, "Jehovah is using only one organization today to accomplish his will," To receive everlasting life in the earthly paradise, we must identify that organization and serve God as part of it. End of quote. The September 1, 1989 Watchtower on page 19 says, quote, "Only Jehovah's Witnesses, those of the anointed remnant and the great crowd, as the united organization under the protection of the supreme organizer, have any scriptural hope of surviving the impending end of this doomed system dominated by Satan the devil." End of quote. So the public utterance in the brochure is, will all Catholics or others be destroyed? Jehovah makes those judgments,
Yeah.
not we.
Yeah, so it's, even to be tutoring kids to say this when they know what answer they would get if they were giving a comment at the Watchtower meeting, it being opposite, you're training your kids to be dishonest.
Shade the truth, as they put it here.
Yeah, to find reasons why it's okay at some times not to tell the truth. Why are these difficult questions? Because you can't answer them honestly without them sounding horrible.
And judgmental.
And judgmental.
Which you are.
Yeah.
So we're reminded that just recently, of course, Jeffrey Jackson of the governing body did just this on this very issue, right? Answering a question more or less this same question.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you believe that you're the only true religion was the essence of the question. And what was his answer?
Well, it would be, or no, it was, do you believe you're the only spokesperson for God, I think was the question.
Yeah.
And he said, oh, well, it would be presumptuous to say that. And so he was telling the truth. It is presumptuous, but he doesn't tell you that that's exactly what they do.
So going back to the Watchtower, which Ray cites, says, okay, this is what they say in print. What do they say in print about honesty? What about truthfulness? Do we really respect the truth, or are we willing to twist the truth a little bit to get out of an inconvenient circumstance or to get something we want? Well, obviously in custody cases, there is something at stake, both theocratically as you view it, but also personally.
So in their minds, they will justify it and say, well, it's better for the child to be with the witness parent and survive Armageddon. So this will motivate them to lie if they have to. They think they have to. So it's they want to make it sound more palatable than what it is.
Yeah, we've seen it over and over again in the way they rewrite their own history. In the next segment, more about custody cases and the very common double standards that they're being applied and must be seen, I think must be seen by the average witness to be dubious, but still are justified theocratically, right? Theocratic warfare.
Yeah.
Next time.
Mm.